Well, thank you again for being here. I know it was quite a long haul, and like I said earlier, I don't know how you do it. That's a lot of time zones. Um, Greatly appreciate you being here. Well, I wanted to just kind of bring us back to a little bit of a reflection on yesterday. Uh, just, I don't know if it was ever explicitly explained, but the way we designed this whole summit is through a story. So we're taking ourselves on this journey of a fictional subsistence hunt. So if you can kind of read between the lines, and some of the titles are actually, of the sessions are actually named things, like this morning's session and yesterday's session. And it's really about like taking us, our, our natural way of viewing the world is in Indigenous worldview is through storytelling, and it makes things meaningful and it makes it personal. And so we wanted to take you through this journey where yesterday we start out about understanding ourselves, and we went through understanding tribal capacity building in historical context. So, before you hunt, you always have to know where you're going to hunt. You have to know yourself. You have to be taught by your elders. You have to know where you came from and where to walk on the land. So we tried to build that foundation. And then continuing that with the foundations of state and federal stewardship and the foundations of Indigenous stewardship. We had the two panels up here to talk about those. So really giving you more information to build upon planning to go out and on the land and get your meat or your birds or whatever you're getting for your family. And then, we went a little bit into the landscape. So we talked about knowing the lay of the land. We did policy landscape. Heather presented her amazing PowerPoint and discussion about the landscape, policy landscape relating to subsistence protections and practices. And then we talked more about traditional ecological ways of knowing. So we always carry that in our minds as we're going out and providing for our families. Today, we're actually, the session's title this morning when Jane and May were up is called Embarking on the Journey. And their announcement really was pretty groundbreaking this morning. And so it sets a great, I don't even think you knew this, but you set a great, you filled right into the theme. So you're helping us to set that, you're helping us to take the first step on that journey. So it's really beautiful kind of how things just happen to flow. So next we're going to go through this exercise about plotting your course. So we've got this foundation, we know where we're going, we know the lay of the land, or we know the lay of the land, now we need to know where we're going. So Bjorn's up here. Bjorn is a dear friend of mine, and he's also doing our story booth recording sessions. So I would again remind you all to either sign up or drop by and see Bjorn for a few minutes and share with us your story. But he's going to introduce this concept of a story map. Thank you. A story map. And then we're going to actually do our own little tiny story maps together in the table work today. But I wanted to kind of turn it over to him because he's going to introduce this amazing project. So this project that Bjorn is going to present to you is like a huge, huge project. We are going to start small today with our own little story maps, but I just wanted you to see the potential of what your story, your recording, your sharing at our story booth could eventually become. your stories, if I could use Russ's terms, are the babies. This is actually like the whole community, right? So we get individual voices that come together to create something that is like jaw-breaking, jaw-dropping. So I'll turn it over to Bjorn and talk a little bit about this project.
Randy just asked me to do this, so. This is hot off the presses. This was just actually officially published yesterday. And so this project is the work of the tribal environmental nonprofit in my region in South Central Alaska called Chugach Regional Resources Commission. And it's at least 5 years that they've been working on their climate adaptation plan. And so when they surveyed all the tribal members, of which there are 7 in our region, 7 communities, 7 tribes, and asked them, what are you most concerned about with climate change? By and large, the concerns were to subsistence resources. And so that is embedded into this massive and living document that will be, updated and changed as things change. And the thing that is really, to me, feels, it's a big honor for me to work on this project with them, traveling to the communities and, conducting interviews. The thing that we're trying to do here today is capture, or at this TELS, is capture audio recordings for RTOC to be able to include similarly on their website. But if you can scroll down a little bit, there's maybe 2 pages down, there's, here we go, Lily. So Lily is a tribal member of the Katuchek tribe in Seward. And the way they framed this story map is it's constrained by 7 generations. But rather than, this is a new way of thinking about the 7 generations principle in my mind, is rather than it being 7 generations forward, it's 7 generations with Lily being in the middle. And so Lily, her parents and her grandparents, we go back in time with them, and then projecting forward as the climate is changing in our region and everywhere, is Lily's children and grandchildren. And so the kind of Lily is a central character to this entire story map. And what that also kind of relates to in the Western technical sense is that we've got good climate data that goes back to the 50s. And so that's her grandparents. And then there are a lot of models for what's going to happen by 2050, and different variety of models. So throughout this long, like if you print this out as a PDF, it's 180 pages, but a lot of the pages are full photographs like this. But it's a massive document, and the interactivity of this is that you can as you're scrolling down, and if you don't mind continuing to scroll down a bit, you can kind of see some of the tools that they've added in here, the interactive aspects. But so having, fairly decent weather data that goes back to the 50s, and then through to now, you can kind of scroll through and see, how that has impacted. There's an example right there of an embedded audio clip recording from one of the tribal members from Soldovia Village. This is a Herculean effort on the part of all of the CERC staff, and then, a lot of work with contractors to kind of, create these weather maps, climate maps, and a lot of them are very interactive. And I don't, I really encourage, if you're interested in creating a climate, adaptation plan for your community or region, and or B, looking for an example of a very effective, or what I would say is a very effective story map, I really encourage you to check out this one in particular. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I think that it's a pretty effective way to get across a lot of what Western science people don't have problem grappling with big data and understanding, climate models, but how do you humanize that, right? How do you make that be more accessible to anybody? And I think that this is a pretty successful template for how to get across some of these pretty, big ideas. I still haven't seen any of the examples of the weather maps yet. You might have to scroll down. It's an enormous document. Yeah, so here this is the map of all the tribes, but a little bit further down. Yeah, here we go. So if you grab that slider in the middle there, Rob, you can see how that's in an interactive. It gives you kind of the overlay of, historical to contemporary over, each kind of region. Go down to see the caption for this one. Yeah. Yeah, and then anyway, and then making it be, like a lot of, a variety of media, and that was kind of my role. Although you landed on one that CBS News produced, not me, but but so there's a lot of embedded videos and these audio clips that again are trying to help humanize. And there's an example too of like, go back up a little bit. So we see Lily's, when she was 2, there was the 2014 heat wave leading to, a bird die off. And so, this human component of Lily being kind of baked into this entire story arc is, again, I think a way to humanize this otherwise, sometimes esoteric data. Anyway, I just, Randy asked me to share this as an example of a story map. And I think that, there's a lot to learn from this one in particular, I think. So if you're looking for inspiration, I highly recommend visiting Chugach Regional Resources Commission's page, and you can find the link there. Yeah. Yeah.
Bjorn's kind of my reliable friend who I can always go to, who has great information and stuff to share in a heartbeat. I don't know if you recall last year in Idaho, we had a cancellation and Bjorn happened to be there, and I'm like, hey Bjorn, can we show that film you just made on what was it, Little Diomede? And with gap funding, perfect fit. So he showed his film and filled in. So thank you again for that, Bjorn. So the reason we're showing you this project and doing these story mapping activities today are because it's a tool for you to help you figure out, as you're plotting your course in your IGAP grant and you're figuring out where has my tribal environmental program come, how far. You can go as far back, of course, it's up to you. You can go as far back as thousands of years when we were stewarding our lands, or you can potentially start this project of your own story map in your workbook from the most recent, maybe from the first year you got your IGAP grant. But what we wanted to present you with is an option for visioning together. You take your own vision today, but then you take it to your team and you share that, and you see that one of the main results from doing this activity independently and then bringing it together is that you see if you're operating to make sure that everybody's solving the same problem and coming from the same perspective, right? So by adding your experience to that of your team members' experience and perceptions, you get a much better idea of your body of work that you've done, where you've started and where you've come to today. And then of course, with that better understanding of all of these things, you're poised in a much better position to do that future planning, right? So if you're in the position of working for your tribe, you're like, gosh, I have to do my work plan for 2026, or 2027, or you know, I know right now we're negotiating for 2025, but this can be your map. This can be your guide. Something like this, a story map, can help make sure that you are carrying out that vision and that you have something in mind as your end goal. So what we're doing today is a little bit of personal. We're going to take maybe 5-7 minutes or so for you to pull out your workbooks if you could. And this is day 2's workbook. It looks like this, starting with plotting your course. And there's a little box in the first page on the back side of the cover that explains knowing your origin story, right? Every good comic book starts with an origin story, right? We all need these foundations so we can understand the bigger picture. So this is something that you can do. It's your choice this morning, because really the point of this exercise is to get you to do it. If it's easier for you to do it from your own life standpoint, do it about your own life. If it's easier for you, or if it's more interesting for you to do it from the perspective of your environmental program, start there. But it's a tiny box. I understand sometimes these documents actually are like big sheets of paper that are taped, and it can maybe fill up a whole wall if you go back far enough. But I just wanted to kind of tell you that it doesn't have to be a timeline, and I prefer it if you didn't make it a straight line. I would love to see it like a river, okay? Starting in the left-hand top corner, that's your starting point. And there is a little guide in there to kind of help you through that. They end up looking kind of, like I said, a river, and you can go up and down and up and down, and you're going to kind of plot in major developmental milestones. So if you're doing it for your own life course, maybe the first thing is your birth. Maybe you want to go far back as your conception. Who knows? I don't remember that part of my life, but maybe you do. So starting at one point and then getting to where you are today in the bottom right-hand corner, just, you know, it'll be fun little exercise. Sometimes it's nice for you to reflect. We don't often have time to do that. So just take a few minutes and fill out your origin stories. All right, folks, we're going to come back together now. I know that maybe 5 of you did that project, but I get it. It's a hard one. Oh, I see somebody. All right. Hold it up if you did it. We see. Yay, you guys are awesome. I think you get an extra raffle ticket. Can I get Cindy, can you get them an extra raffle ticket? I think Jennifer's got them over there. Oh, they're right there. So hold that up again as she comes around, because thank you so much. I know that it's early and you guys worked really hard yesterday. We're not letting up on you, so you're great sports. And I hope you get a benefit out of it. So I want you to know, you know, this could be a whole, it could take you a while to do these, right? It's not something that you can necessarily just do in 5 minutes. So I want you to know that it's just introducing the concept, and that actually when you sit down and you say you have a staff retreat, this is something that you could potentially find a good facilitator for to help you through the process. It's a fantastic tool to use for strategic planning, and it's really, really fun. If your team is a little bit, has a hard time maybe breaking out of a box, this is a good tool to get you to think of things in a more creative way. So the next project that I have for you to do is I want you to take a little time And do spend some time thinking about your own tribal IGAP programs, or even your own, if you work for EPA or another agency, think about it in terms of your own agency. Are there things that you can substitute the word work plan for something else? Basically, what I'd like you to do is now think about your future. Think about the future of your program in particular. What do you need to help you achieve your work plan goals? Do you need more staff? Do you need more money? Do you need special equipment? What kinds of things do you need going forward to make your future programs successful? And then I want you to examine for a second, what are your team's strengths and how can you maximize them? So not only knowing your coworkers, but how do you bring out the best in them? How do you give your coworkers what they need so you can be a healthy team? And the third is listing. I want you to, throughout the day, listen to presenters. Maybe you already know the answer to this, but list 3 technical assistance providers and their contact information in that bottom box on worksheet 4. So we are going to give you just a few minutes again to privately fill out that information. And then I think we're going to break a little early from this session and allow some time for a bathroom break, coffee. We will be convening back in this room for one session, but we also have another breakout session down this hallway. There's doors in the middle of the room that lead down a hallway. If you go down that hallway and to your right is the Kalapuya room, that's where the other sessions are going to be held. So throughout the rest of the day, for the most part, we're going to have breakout sessions. So being aware of your options here, we have concurrent sessions and options to choose between this room and the Kalapuya room. So if you have your agenda, please note the name of those rooms and where you want to be. We are going to play, I know we had this intention of playing this music and giving you a 5-minute cue when it's time to get back together or to go to the next thing. But if you're not in this room, you can't hear it. So it didn't really work as we planned, but we are still going to be playing that tribal music for you. And if you do end up hearing it, that means you have 5 minutes to get to where you need to go. So good luck working on those questions. Just jotting some ideas down. I think, let me look at the time real quick. Let's give you, I think it's going to be about 15-minute break, okay? So we're going to break a little early, let you do your thing. Please come back by 10 and go to your respective rooms that you choose. And thank you for being here this morning, everyone. It was nice to have everybody in the room. And we'll see you again here at lunch to share lunch together as well. And at lunch, we are going to have another cultural presenter. So we'll have the first half hour of lunch with no programming and the second half hour with a little bit of entertainment and cultural information. So, all right, have a great break.